Most important thing for rock dust for agriculture is the fineness. The problem in this natural park is that not only the big trees are dying, even the young trees died about 5-6 years after being planted here. And in these 5-6 years, these trees had a very small growth. You see, this is the growth of the first 5 years of living of this tree. And 1983 we brought first time the rock dust here. And every year, beginning from 1983, you see the much bigger growth of these trees until 87. This tree was at 7-8 years at this height. In the following 4.5 years, the tree reached this growth. The problem in this place was that from air pollution from a copper industry very near to this place, the soil and the air was so polluted that experts thought to take away the whole soil and to bring new one to get a new forest. And we wanted to demonstrate that only with a small quantity of rock dust, the polluted soil could be regenerated. And we came here to put first time rock dust at 1983, and it was very surprising for us that even a half a year later the trees showed the first better growing. Against the opinion of the experts, they said there will not be any result or it will take lots of years.
We are a country of about 60,000 square miles, very mountainous and very rich in forests. 44% of the surface of Austria is covered by forests. Now, the fact of these forests dying increasingly fast has really alarmed a number of people in our country. We witness now an increasing soil destruction, poverty of the soil, the dying of the microbes and other microscopic necessary animals. We have learned from scientists that the dust of rocks and gravel has a very good effect in rendering life back to the soil. At the moment we feel that everything simply has to be tried and has to be done to turn the wheel around.
Da sieht man das sehr schön, dass die Nadeln des Zweiges mit Gestein.
The needles of the tree, which was fertilized with rock dust, are very strong, thick, and dark green, whereas on the other tree the needles are much more loosely distributed and thinner, and are not as intensively green in color.
So intensiv grün gefärbt wie in diesem Fall. Es handelt sich um Tomatenpflanzen. Die Pflanzen
These are
stehen
tomato plants
auf
from the
am
same
gleichen
location.
Standort.
One part of the plot is fertilized with ample quantities of rock dust. The other is not. Everything else in their treatment is exactly the same.
Maße Gesteinsmehl und die andere kein Gesteinsmehl. Alles andere ist völlig gleich. Ein anderes Beispiel in einer Apfelkultur.
Here is another example with apple trees. This is a very sensitive type of apple known as the Cox orange. And these soils have never seen a chemical. These trees have been fertilized exclusively with rock dust. It is almost incredible that one can achieve such a result without chemical fertilizers. There are more apples in the tree than leaves. In the close-up photograph, one can see that these apples have no defects. They are without blemishes and in such an abundant supply.
Man sieht hier die völlig makellosen, fehlerfreien Äpfel bei diesem reichen Behang. Das ganz wichtig ist, dass durch die Gesteinsmehlanwendung diese extremen Klimasituationen abgepuffert werden, ausgeglichen werden. Die Pflanze ist widerstandsfähiger gegen Trockenheit und Kälte.
He says the one thing that's absolutely clear and extraordinary is that when you put rock dust, that whatever climate extremes there are, the plants are very strong. They're not affected by climate the way plants normally are.
Also wenn Sie mich fragen, warum die Gesteinsmehlanwendung bei derartigen Erfolgen, die man
You might ask me why fertilizing with rock dust, despite all its success, which can be proved, has progressed so slowly, and is not recommended officially by our agricultural institutions and by science. The big chemical fertilizer producers do not like competition. They want business just for themselves.
Der erste, das ist einfach ein wirtschaftlicher Grund. Die großen Düngemittelhersteller sehen nicht gerne eine Konkurrenz.
These chemical fertilizer producers, of course, have a strong political lobby in order to put themselves in the foreground and to push everything else into the background.
Sich selber in Vordergrund zu bringen und alles andere zurückzudrängen.
Remineralizing the soils of the world's forest will not do much good, however, if we keep cutting down the forests. If we want to survive, we have to stop clear-cutting and burning the world's forest immediately, and especially the fast-growing tropical rainforests. Since most of the rainforest countries are heavily indebted to the Western powers, they are likely to be quite ready to stop the clear-cutting in exchange for appropriate reductions in their foreign debts. This formula has already proved highly successful in preserving some rainforest lands. But it means that the World Bank and other economic interests who have been profiting from the destruction of the rainforests, even directing it to a large extent, are going to have to put the survival of all of us ahead of their short-term financial gain. And because cattle raised on former rainforest lands usually end up as fast food hamburgers, there is now a worldwide boycott of all fast food outlets until our climate can be stabilized. We can rejuvenate the world's remaining forests by remineralizing them with gravel dust, ground as fine as talcum powder so it can be made use of quickly by the trees. Mineral-rich gravel dust will also buffer the soil against some of the effects of acid rain, similar to the process whereby highly acid lakes are being somewhat neutralized by spraying them with finely ground limestone. Grinding and spreading mixed gravel dust over most of the world's forest could be done within a year or two if we made an all-out effort. To be accomplished quickly, it must be done on every scale, from millions, if not billions of us as individuals, to communities and localities of every size, to the most massive efforts by countries and the United Nations. The trees of the world are our best friends now, and only they can save us. And we have to quickly plant millions of square miles of new, fast-growing trees on soil that we have remineralized. Especially drought-resistant trees, which don't need much rain, since summers will be increasingly hot and dry. All these new trees will help consume the excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere quickly. The most massive involvement and commitment will be necessary if we are to succeed in time. It is an enormous job, but it seems well within the capabilities of the remarkable species we have become. After a few years, we can use the new tree trunks for fuel, as a renewable energy replacement for fossil fuels. By planting and consuming trees, we'll simply be recycling the carbon into and out of the atmosphere each year, so the level of carbon dioxide will not increase. Wood can produce methanol, a clean, non-polluting alcohol fuel that has even more horsepower than gasoline and diesel oil. Another clean alcohol fuel, ethanol, can be made from corn and other agricultural crops, and very efficiently on remineralized soil. Racing car drivers often choose alcohol fuels over gasoline because of their greater power. Substituting clean alcohol fuels for oil will have other enormous benefits as well. We can stop competing for oil in the Persian Gulf, where most of the world's remaining oil is located, with the ever-present danger of a nuclear war over oil. The oil companies can use their tremendous refining capacity to produce clean, environmentally safe fuels. And we won't have any more of those terrible oil spills, which kill fish and birds and ruin our beaches. Methanol and ethanol spills dissolve almost harmlessly in water. We're almost out of oil anyway. Projections show that in another 20 to 30 years, almost all the world's oil will be gone. Wouldn't it be a shame to die for it now? Wood can also be used to produce methane gas, a renewable replacement for natural gas, coal, and heating oil. We have to stop burning the dirtiest fuels, like coal and oil, which produce great quantities of carbon dioxide, as quickly as possible. Large double-glazed windows can provide most of the heat for a house throughout